I got the new bearings in Arbor for the Busy Bee saw, and I'm getting ready to put that in now. Now here's the new Arbor. It's on the outside there. It's that one. When I got it, it didn't have a nut, and that was a problem. This shaft is threaded finer than the old one. They did send out the nut shortly after I called, and now I've got it and everything's good. So here's one of the new bearings, and I got those from VXV. The first thing to do is to press that onto the shaft on here, and it goes up tight against this shoulder right here. If you're not sure about this operation, the best thing to do is to take it to maybe a machine shop. Even a car repair place will have a bearing press that can press this on here safely. In my case, I'm going to do it myself, and to do it, I've made these blocks that will go in my vise and push the bearing on. So before I get started, I'm going to take a little bit of oil, doesn't take much, and lubricate the shaft. This bearing has to press past this land and onto this one. This one is slightly bigger, and it's going to be harder to press it onto this one. And then I've made these individual blocks that will fit on here to push the bearing. Now I'm getting the Arbor down as close to the screw as I possibly can. I'm just going to tighten this and start to push it on. Just going slow. When it reaches the end of the travel, I have to add another block. Okay, so it's cleared that first land. Now I need to push it onto this part up tight to the shoulder. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult to press in. I'm going to go slow and steady. So I wasn't crazy about the banging sound this was making as it was slipping on, and I got concerned that maybe the blocks are putting more pressure on the outer race than on the inner race. To cope with that, I made this washer here. I took this old flange and I made the hole big enough to slip over the shaft. I guess the banging goes with the territory. Now it's almost there. One little push should do it. And that looks like it. Then I can take it out of the vise. And that's it. That's that one pushed on. So the next thing to do is to press the outboard bearing in, and to do that I'm going to use a homemade bearing pusher or whatever. It's just a 3/8 threaded rod. I got some washers stacked up over here to go against the hole on that side and not fall into it. And on this side I have, mainly I have this ring that will push against the outer race and still fit inside the hole. So it's slightly smaller than the outside diameter of the bearing, but it's pushes fully on the outer race, and that's important. You don't want to push on the interior part of the bearing when you're putting it in the knuckle. It's important that it pushes the bearing in straight into the knuckle and not on an angle, so everything here should be lined up straight. Okay, I've got 2 wrenches to tighten the nuts, and I'll just do that a bit at a time. Paying attention to make sure the bearing is going in straight, and it should go in fairly easy on this side. It shouldn't take much force at all. The bearing is fully seated now. Just inside the lip here there's a recess for a snap ring. Let's get that in there and then push it in to the recess. And that's that bearing installed. For this part, I've tipped this table saw up on edge here so I get better access to the knuckle that I want to put the arbor in. The first thing I've got to put in is the load spring, also known as the wavy washer. And that goes in behind the bearing. I've taken the arbor and put it in the freezer to make it as cold as I possibly could. That was in there for about an hour. Now what I want to do is heat up this knuckle a little bit to expand that. It shouldn't take much, and you really have to work fairly quickly with this. Now I've had the arbor wrapped in a towel here to keep it cold, and I'll just drop it in, and it goes right in. I'll just tap it to make sure it's fully seated, and it is, and that's it. Now with the arbor in, I can put on the retaining nut. This just threads on and goes up tight against the bearing. Next I got to put the key in for the pulley. Just gets put right in the keyway, and then the pulley goes on this way actually. There's a set screw that presses down against the key. Tighten that up. Now with the arbor installed, I can assemble the rest of the saw and give it a try.